Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berks County. My name is Nadine, and my pronouns are they and their. As Unitarian Universalists, we come together not with a list of required beliefs, but with a set of shared values centered on unconditional, unshakable love. Whoever you are and whomever you love, wherever you are at this moment, in the sanctuary or online, wherever you are in your life's journey, you are welcome in this community. As we are gathering, I want to extend a special welcome to anyone visiting us this morning, including our special guests this morning. If you haven't already, please take a moment to fill out one of our green visitor cards today, and then please join us after the service for coffee and conversation during fellowship time in the Gerber Room, which is to my left and to your right. Those joining online, please take a minute to write your name in the chat box and let us know where you're joining from this morning. You will find UU Berks Church web address in the chat box and a link to today's order of service. And you can also sign up on the webpage for our weekly e-newsletter. For new families and our youngest members, there are a few options for being present in worship this morning. There's our children's space at the back of the sanctuary where Miss Erin is keeping an eye on things. Or you may sit in the pews with your parents, and there's also a quiet nursery space just off the sanctuary through that door to your right and across the hallway. And audio of the service is available there. So now let's take a moment to greet each other with a wave or a namaste or a smile. And as you do so, please wave back toward the cameras and greet the folks who are here online. Our chalice reading this morning is number 447 by Albert Schweitzer. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by the spark of another. Each of us has cause to think with gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. Please rise in body or spirit and join in our opening hymn, number 402. From you I receive, de ti yo recibo.
We're going to be going through this twice in English and then twice in Spanish. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
De ti yo recibo y a ti te doy, así compartimos y vivimos hoy. De ti yo recibo y a ti te doy, así compartimos y vivimos hoy.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nick Stoltzfus, and my pronouns are he and him, and I'm going to share a story for you called The Difference Between Heaven and Hell. Long ago, there lived an old woman who had a wish. She wished more than anything to see for herself the difference between heaven and hell. The monks in the temple agreed to grant her request. They put a blindfold around her eyes and said, "First, you shall see hell." When the blindfold was removed, the old woman was standing at the entrance to a great dining hall. The hall was full of round tables, each piled high with the most delicious foods: meats, vegetables, fruit, breads, and dessert of all kinds. The smells that reached her nose were wonderful. The old woman noticed that in hell there were people seated around those round tables. She saw that their bodies were thin and their faces were gaunt and creased with frustration. Each person held a spoon. The spoons must have been 3 feet long. They were so long that the people in hell could reach the food on those platters, but they could not get the food back to their mouths. As the old woman watched, she heard their hungry, desperate cries. "I've seen enough," she cried. "Please let me see heaven." And so again, the blindfold was put around her eyes. And the old woman heard, "Now you shall see heaven." When the blindfold was removed, the old woman was confused. For there she stood again at the entrance to a great dining hall filled with round tables piled high with the same lavish feast. And again, she saw that there were people sitting just out of arm's reach of the food with those 3-foot-long spoons. But as the woman looked closer, she noticed that the people in heaven were plump and had rosy, happy faces. And as she watched, a joyous sound of laughter filled the air. And soon the old woman was laughing too, for now she understood the difference between heaven and hell for herself. The people in heaven were using those long spoons to feed each other. Thank you.
It is part of our collective spiritual practice as a community to enter into a prayerful, meditative time each week. We call this time joys and sorrows. We share what is painful in our lives and what is going on well. We share our joys and our sorrows. You're invited to take a few minutes to reflect on what you are carrying in your heart and mind. Those who are online may share joys and sorrows in the chat box, and those on site are invited to come forward and place stones in our common bowl in silence for your joys and sorrows. Also, before we begin that, as a reminder, there are now cards in the de Benneville room to my right for joys and sorrows in case anyone has a joy and sorrow that they would like the minister or the caring circle to be aware of. Let us listen now to Spirit of Life as we share our joys and sorrows with one another.
Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí, y el corazón cántale tu compasión. Sopla volar, sube en la mar, hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Ay, hágame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
these joys and sorrows, as well as those held in our hearts, we hold all of this in compassion. May the grief you witness, the compassion you bring, and the joy you notice open your hearts to the unfolding of life. May you know that you are part of an interdependent web of life and love, and that you are held in compassion and peace. So welcome, everyone. You will hear me mention this again a little later in the service, maybe when we get to the offering. But today is our special plate Sunday, and we are welcoming some folks from the south of Penn, as well as Dennis Williams, who has a story of his life in the south of Penn, and I'm going to kind of set the table here for you all. Nearly a decade ago, this guy, Daniel, invited me to help him and his sidekick, Tony, with cleanups and canvassing in the southwest section of the city. That would be this guy, Daniel. You'll meet him a little later. The then newly formed grassroots task force south of Penn was committed to co-organizing a variety of activities with their neighbors to create safe and healthy shared community spaces. In those early years, I spent quite a few Saturday mornings engaged in neighborhood cleanups, and quite a few hours on other days engaged in door-to-door knocking, asking the neighbors what they wanted to see happening in their neighborhood. South of Penn, their neighborhood is our neighborhood. It's right here, where we are sitting right now, extending roughly south to the bridge, west to the river, and east to the railroad tracks. Today is an opportunity for us to hear a bit of Dennis Williams's South of Penn and UU story, to get to know some of our current South of Penn neighbors, and to hear about their engagement in the South of Penn, reflect on what it means to be neighbors, and begin to consider what it might look like for us to be actively engaged as South of Penn neighbors. As I was imagining this service coming into form, there were two neighborhood heroes, both no longer embodied, who came to mind and who deserve a mention today. The first is the widely known children's television host, Mr. Fred Rogers. I don't think he needs much more of an introduction than that today. The second is a woman who came to Reading for a college education at Albright, and upon completing that education, chose to make Reading her home, specifically choosing the South of Penn neighborhood where she worked, living alongside the students and their families whom she loved and served over generations at Southwest Middle School. Linda McCormick, affectionately known as Miss Mac or Teacher, was much loved and respected in turn by her students and their families, her neighbors, and her fellow UUs here in this congregation. Passing by the Pink House at 130 South 4th Street, I can still sense her presence and her love. Mr. Rogers and Miss Mack were living examples of love at the center, examples of that emblem we now have decades before it was created. May their stories and the stories you hear today inspire you to be a living example as well. Give an expression of care every day to the child within each one you meet. Not the child, but the child within each one you meet. And do what you can to make the neighborhood, wherever you find it, a place where friends help each other find within themselves the courage to grow. And so now, in the tradition of Mr. Rogers, let's gift ourselves with 1 minute of silence to think about those who have helped us to become who we are. Please join in singing Weave and Spin. The words will be displayed on the screen.
Weave and spin. This is how our work begins. Mend and teal, mend and teal. Take the dream and make it real. Weave and spin, weave and spin. This is how our work begins. Mend and heal, mend and heal. Take the dream and make it real. Weave and spin, weave and spin. This is how our work begins. Mend and heal, mend and heal. Take the dream and make it real.
Good morning, community. I hope you are all feeling great today. It's a beautiful day outside, no rain in sight. I want to say that I was excited when Nadine asked me to say something about south of Penn. I originally lived when I was, this goes back a little bit now. In 1956, I lived along the railroad tracks close to Reading Area Community College. And my parents, my mother and my stepfather, they ran a speakeasy. And they sold everything there. It was, liquor. I've seen dope deals going down, gambling, it was all going on. And this one particular weekend, the house got raided by city and state enforcement. It was maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm not sure. I was sleeping, and then all of a sudden I heard all this screaming and shouting, and I kind of knew the drill, So I got under the bed and I situated everything a certain way that the cops did not see me. So after the house was cleared out, I knew where my grandparents lived on the south side of town. I was on the north side, and then my grandparents were on the south side on Pine Street between 6th and 7th Street. My grandparents knew that I was a wild child, to say the least. I wasn't that disciplined. But my grandmother said, "Dennis, look, I'm gonna let you stay here, but there's 3 things you gotta do. 1, you have to do your chores. 2, you have to go to church every Sunday. And 3, you can't miss any school." At the time, I didn't know anything about church. That was foreign to me. But it was on 10th and Washington Street, which was 7.5 blocks from my grandmother's house, and I had to walk. But, I didn't mind it. I was very inquisitive in regards to what was happening in this church. And over time, the main thing I was interested in was the Holy Spirit. I couldn't really imagine what it was, and I was very inquisitive about this. So that was my main objective. Every Sunday I would go there and ask all kinds of questions. Well, and then in regards to school, I went to Rose and Washington, which was another 7 blocks on the north side of town. And in 1957, they had the Asiatic flu. I don't know, well, I ain't going to mention anybody in here who might be around at that time. But, it was really bad. They closed the school down. And so those 3 days that the school was closed were the only days I missed school between 1958 and 1964 when I graduated. I was late, I might be late here and there, but I didn't miss any school. Then, let me see. And the church, Bethel AME Church, is the oldest living, and oldest surviving church, black built in 1837, and it is registered as a underground railroad where slaves would get there and they would be led to safety to other states and to Canada. This was, I really loved going there, and but I would not join. For some reason, my grandma said, "Dennis, you go all the time. Why don't you join?" I said, "Grandma," I said, "I don't know. I just don't. There's just no connection." So and it stayed that way for decades. Uh, but I was really appreciative of my grandparents because they didn't have to take me in. You know, it's not like they had a lot going on, but it really made me feel humble and appreciative that they took me in. So I never wanted to make them feel embarrassed about me at all. In '58, we moved to Carpenter Street, which was right next to Southwest Junior High School, not far from here. And that was and I also had my first job. I became a paper boy at this time, and I had a wide area to cover, but that gave me money to buy my own clothing and also to contribute to the house. But also, not far from my house, 1 block on 4th Street, was the head of the KKK, Mr. Roy Frankhauser. And I know Linda McCormick and I used to talk about that a little bit because she lived right across the street from here where he was at. In fact, it's less than a block from here where he used to have his big flag, Confederate flag in the window, and he would have motorcycles. His friends had motorcycles. They'd line up on the street, revving up, and then he would just take off with their Confederate flag, and you know, it was kind of intimidating, but I didn't know anything about racism at that time. The neighborhood was a melting pot. It was everybody. I don't want to even get into naming all the nationalities, but it was just a melting pot that it wasn't no big deal. Then another time, someone smashed Roy's window, and the cops showed up, and he was kind of a little vociferous, but you know, he got over it. You know, I did at the same time. I just wanted to say that the school was a melting pot. It was great. I mean, you can't think of racism when you're in the school and everybody is just getting along. It was just amazing. And I just want to, in conclusion, just say I realized the blessings in so many ways, even though I felt embarrassed for my parents going to jail. It turned out for the best. I learned how to be humble, responsible, and appreciative, especially for my grandparents. And one thing that really, another thing that happened was in 2011, I got busted for having some weed, and I had to, fortunately, I knew the judge, and I was able to just get a work release. And it was Patton out there in Muhlenberg Township. You know, I don't know if you know him or not. And so what happened was, on my list for work release was UU Church of Berks County. And I said, where is that? You know, what's that all about? So I signed up, and that's where I met Walter and Frida and Linda McCormick, and also Jane Rohrbach. They were there for the food bank. That's where I would help out. And it seemed like as soon as I came in this church, I felt wanted. I felt that I could feel freedom. And it was something that I couldn't explain, but I'm a universalist in the sense that I relate to all things in the universe. And here my mind is free to expand. And that's all I want to say is I'm appreciative for you, for being here, for being accepted. And praise the Lord. Thank you.
And let me just say, when I introduced Dennis, I neglected to mention that today is not his birthday, it is his delivery day, and you need to ask him about that after the service if you're interested. So now we are going to go to a video. From Annalise Ortega, who's going to tell us a little bit about South of Penn. She's the South of Penn coordinator, and she is not able to be here today because she was on a plane to Puerto Rico either right now or earlier this morning. I'm not sure which, but, and we will follow that with some more weave and spin.
Together, they worked to improve the overall quality of life, to improve homeownership, and to most importantly, build meaningful connections with their neighbors in the South of Penn area. Hi everyone, my name is Annalise Ortega. I'm the South of Penn coordinator for Barrio Alegria. I'm really sorry I couldn't be there with you guys today, but Nadine left me a couple questions to answer, so that's what I will be doing today.
How, when, why was South of Penn created?
Hi everyone, my name is Annalise Ortega. I'm the South of Penn coordinator for Barrio Alegria. I'm really sorry I couldn't be there with you guys today, but Nadine left me a couple questions to answer, so that's what I will be doing today.
How, when, why was South of Penn created?
South of Penn was created in 2015 through a collaboration of multiple institutions, including Barrio Alegria. Hi everyone, my name is Annalise Ortega. I'm the South of Penn coordinator for Barrio Alegria. I'm really sorry I couldn't be there with you guys today, but Nadine left me a couple questions to answer, so that's what I will be doing today.
How, when, why was South of Penn created?
South of Penn was created in 2015 through a collaboration of multiple institutions, including Barrio Alegria, the Wyomissing Foundation, and other community organizations. And together, they worked to improve the overall quality of life, to improve homeownership, and to most importantly, build meaningful connections with their neighbors in the South of Penn area.
What needs was it created to address, and how does it address those needs?
The South of Penn was created to improve the overall quality of life, and we do that by listening to real needs, organizing cleanups, and bringing creative energy into abandoned spaces. We're also working to improve homeownership through our facade program, and now with our partnership with the Home Habitat program, it not only helps neighbors repair and restore the outside of the home, but also the inside. Just as important as the physical work is the community that we are building. People like Jeanette Buchanan, who is a neighbor on South 7th Street, and Danny Guerrero, who is another neighbor on South 4th Street, are both deeply involved in South of Penn. They lead their own block parties every year with the support from the South of Penn and show us what leadership looks like right on their blocks. Because at the end of the day, here's what South of Penn is really about: empowering our people to realize they already have the power. They are the change. This is their home. Their voice matters. And when they rise, everything changes.
Who decides what the South of Penn events/activities will be?
Every year we meet with neighbors and neighborhood captains to make sure they're involved in shaping what the year would look like. Conversations, they guide us into seeing what events to plan for the following year.
How is South of Penn funded?
South of Penn is funded by grants, so it's donated by foundations and organizations, so that way neighbors can be involved without having to worry about any cost.
How does South of Penn measure success?
South of Penn measures success not just by numbers, but it's the stories that come from the community. Stories of growth, connection, and real change. Those stories show us that we're making a real difference, and that's how we measure true success.
What impacts has South of Penn had on or in the community?
The impact South of Penn has had in the community is about creating things that will last long after we're gone. So take our facade program. It's transformed so many homes, and one that stood out to me was my neighbor, Chichi. Her house went from worn down to beautiful, and she was very grateful. So just imagine how many others need that kind of help. Then there are the murals, like the one at Lucky's Lane. What used to be a lot full of junk is now a vibrant mural and a garden. A beautiful space for our community. They're not just cute events. They give neighbors something to look forward to, a reason to be proud of their block. They inspire kids and create safe spaces and a sense of belonging. That's the kind of impact that lasts.
What impact has South of Penn had on or in people's lives?
The kind of impact that South of Penn has on individuals' lives it's watching someone go from wishing they could lead a workshop to leading it, dreaming of performing to performing their own music, from hoping to get paid for their art to landing that paid gig. We give artists real opportunities and paid ones too. South of Penn becomes a stepping stone. Once you're in it, there's no going back. It's just growth ahead. The story that changed me.
Music. We're pausing. This is a really great video, but we're pausing for a little music. I got a little thrown because my timing was off. Sorry about that. And now we're going to introduce our real in-person live folks from south of Penn, Paula, Keisha, and Daniel.
There we go. Hello, everybody. It is such an honor to be here with all of you. My name is Daniel Aguskiza, and about 10 years ago, I set on this journey to do something, and I did the best thing I could. I called on my friends to join. And so, just like the amazing song goes, with a little help from my friends, I was able to accomplish something. And then 10 years later, not long ago, I discovered that everybody can contribute. And this is something that was referenced earlier in the story that we heard. The nature of where we are, of the place where we all live, has good people in it, has a good essence. And the values of Barrio Alegría, which is the organization that I am representing today, have those values, which are three. At Barrio Alegría, what happens to one of us happens to all of us. At Barrio Alegría, what we have, we share. And at Barrio, we keep our promises. And the two volunteers that are here today embody those things. We set out to do things in the community, but most importantly, we recognize that beyond the doing, we come to a space where we just are. And we accept each other for who we are. We accept that we hold greatness and we hold darkness as well, and we hold good days and we hold bad days. We hold great thoughts, amazing creative thoughts, and we also hold destructive thoughts. But the good always wins. And so I am lucky to introduce to you today these two amazing volunteers. But before I give them the mic, I want to tell you about one volunteer who could not be here today. His name is Adonis. He was a volunteer since the first phone call that was placed to him. And we loved him from the moment he appeared to volunteer for us, and he loved us from the moment he moved the first speaker to an event. He is filled with life. He is unstoppable. He is Superman in the flesh. He plays basketball, or used to. He was, not long ago, about 2 months ago, he was playing basketball in City Park when a bullet impacted him in the chest. But being the superhero, the immortal that he is, he did not die. He was sent to the hospital for a couple of months. And when we went to visit him and when we called him, first thing was, don't worry, I will be back. I will be back to continue volunteering, because that's part of what I do. And as soon as he got out of the hospital, when he went home, he said, all right, what's the next event that you have? Because I want to show up. And we had to tell him, no, stop. You have to take care of yourself. And I think that I want to bring him to this holy space because he embodies what we all have, is that potential to be connected, to just be, and because of that, being accepted and being welcomed into spaces. I want to ask, I was asked to be the moderator for today, so I am going to ask these volunteers first to tell me their name and why they like to volunteer at Barrio.
Good morning. My name is Keisha, and I'm so happy to be here. I've never done anything like this, and it's really fun so far. What was your question?
Why do you volunteer? Why do you volunteer?
I volunteer because I just really want to help. You know, being someone who needed help at some point and no one was there to help, you become that person that wants to give what you never had. So that's why I volunteered, to give others what I didn't have.
¿Y usted, Paula, por qué es voluntaria? ¿Por qué anda dando de su tiempo?
Primero, hola a todos. My name is Paola Disla. Primero que nada, quiero darle las gracias por invitarme porque este es un lugar increíble. Desde que llegué he sentido tan bienvenida, tanta compasión, tanto amor y se siente fantástico. Soy voluntaria o me gusta hacer voluntariado. Empecé porque hace 3 años llegué aquí a Redding de República Dominicana y mi primer residencia aquí en South Penn, South Penn. Y no me sentía como que no conocía a nadie, no tenía amigos y me sentí un poco triste en ese aspecto. Entonces quise pertenecer más a la comunidad y ahí fue que fui conociendo South Penn en Barrio Alegría y me fui involucrando y conociendo. Me hizo sentir bienvenida.
First of all, my name is Paula Disla, and I wanted to thank you for welcoming here today. My experience in this space has been amazing. I feel really welcome and at peace here. And the reason why I volunteer is because when I first arrived here from the Dominican Republic 3 years ago, I felt isolated, alone, and I wanted to find a space where I could be in communion. And so I reached out to Barrio and to South of Penn and I became involved. ¿Sí? ¿Sí? ¿Continúa?
Okay. Bueno, una de las cosas que más me gusta de ser voluntaria o hacer voluntariado es que uno se siente más pertenecido, se siente más como que este es tu hogar, este es tu ciudad y se siente que es tu espacio, uno lo envuelve y lo transforma y eso es una de los sentimientos que más me gustan, hacerme sentir que este es mi espacio.
And one of the reasons why I volunteer is because I feel like the more I do it, the more I feel like this is my home, this is my space, and I continue to do it because of that. The second question I would like to ask is, have you noticed changes in you since you started volunteering for the community? ¿Ha sentido usted cambios dentro de sí misma desde que ha empezado a hacer voluntariado? Empecemos con usted.
Sí, por supuesto que sí. He tenido muchos cambios. En primer lugar, porque siempre cuando me mudé acá, a no saber el idioma, me sentí un poco también sin amigos y sola. Entonces, al estar involucrada en la comunidad, conocí amigos, por supuesto, y también hay un cambio en mí de que soy más abierta, más social. Uno de los cambios que más me emocionan y que más me han gustado es que hago que las personas entren más en mi vida, ¿verdad? tenía como una armadura, era un poquito cerrada y ahora soy un poco más abierta en compartir.
So one of the changes that I have seen in myself is that I now am more sociable. I have friends. The other noticeable change that I have seen is that I have torn down this wall, this armor, as she described it, that was preventing me from connecting to other people. And so now I am more sociable and I am able to make others feel welcome in spaces.
I would agree with Paola as well. I feel like Self-Append really has pushed me out of my comfort zone, and I think we can all relate that it's really hard to get out of your comfort zone. But it was really easy because of the people involved and the friends that I've made. And I just think that, yes, I have changed for the better too.
Is there, the third question, is there one story that comes to mind that is the best story that you can think of from the times that you have volunteered? ¿Hay una historia que se le viene a la mente que usted quiera resaltarla como algo importante o lo más importante, lo más bonito? ¿Ya?
Bueno, hay varias historias, pero la primera y que me impacta todavía es cuando se hizo una limpieza a una vecina que se llama Linda en la calle 7. Ella es una señora mayor, bueno, era porque hace poco que ella falleció, pero en ese entonces nos juntamos varios de los de South Penn y limpiaron su patio porque ella no podía. Y se sintió tan bonito porque a ella le gustó tanto ver su patio bien bonito. Entonces el esfuerzo que se puso ahí nos hizo sentir orgulloso.
There are many stories that come to mind, but one that still impacts me is when we held a cleanup for a South of Penn neighbor. Her name is Linda, and she had been isolated because of health problems and her age. Sadly, she recently passed, and when we showed up to do the cleanup, she welcomed us all, and the group of volunteers was able to help restore and clean up her garden that had been overgrown for many, many years. And that is the story that she holds dear. How about you?
I'm gonna make this long story short because it's a long story. But I'm 19 now, but when I was younger and I used to live back in the Bronx, I used to sing and go for castings and stuff like that. And when I moved to Reading, to a place where you would think that there's nothing going on here, and that's also another thing, like Self-Append really opened up a lot of doors for me. When I got here, I quit singing, and I thought that my passion had no destination. Until I met Annalise and Danny and Paola, and they held all these events. And I recently had a porch concert that I thought I could never do. I never thought I was gonna get back into singing up until Anna asked me back in January. And that really opened an old door for me that I didn't think I had the key to. So going back to the whole comfort thing, that's the story that really sticks for me. Barrio really brought my passion back for me and took me out of that place to really jump out there and put myself out there. And for that, I thank you.
So, keeping us in time, Nadine just gave me the look. But I wanted to say that I think that if there was a secret to the things that we do in the South of Penn, in our neighborhood, I would say that we see you, and we want you to see us, and not as the things that we do, which are of course nice, but just as people, as a person. We see you, and we hope that you see us. Thank you.
There's so much more to tell and share about South of Penn. I think we're going to hold the rest of the video just because of the time. I think we're going to find a time and place where we can show the full video on another day, or maybe I'll talk to Frank. We'll figure something out. And so we will go to our offering. As a community of faith, we share what we can with one another. We offer ourselves through the ministries of this church by giving to and receiving from one another. One of those gifts is our financial resources. Your financial generosity makes it possible for us to live out our principles in our church and beyond our doors, keeping hope and courage and forgiveness and compassion alive. You may make a financial contribution online through the Giving app or by check, and those who are on site may place a check in the box in the Gerber room labeled for that purpose, or in the baskets that are going to be coming around right now. I'll remind you that this is Share the Plate Sunday in case you forgot. With that, we will proceed with this time to share what you can with gratitude. We give and we receive these gifts. Please rise once more in body or spirit to join in our closing hymn, We Give Thanks.
For this time we share
sometimes if you have the right hymnal. In ways big and small, we all change the world by how we live. The late civil rights activist, Congressman John Lewis, talked about how he lived in and through and beyond a world that he had a hand in changing was to live as if. He said, "You imagine the world you want to inhabit. You imagine the beloved community that you want to create and be a part of. And you live as if that is the reality. And you just have to walk into making it more visible and more true for everyone else." There is coffee and conversation in the room to my left. Please continue to engage with our South of Penn friends and neighbors. And thank you all for being here today.